Welcome to episode 7 of Lost Without Japan, a podcast based on Japan, and you are lost without moments. This is your director of travel for TKIC Studio Productions, coming to you with hopes and dreams of a return to travel for himself and others in summer 2022. I'd like to thank you all for giving me a bit of your time again today, and truly hope this podcast finds you in a good place or on the path to a better one, no matter how it may seem at the moment. My belief is that we could all use a beacon like this one in our lives to help guide us during these times, and my hope is that Japan, along with this show, will become that for you. Getting you to Japan on either your first visit or a return trip will be a topic that will be hitting many times through this first season. Today's episode will continue to add on some items for you to bring with you to Japan, and then also share some stories from when I've been over there myself. But our big focus for our time today will be in giving thanks for Kyoto and some things that I found out when I was looking at places to share with you as well. So go ahead, take a few deep breaths, and come along with me as we begin planning either your first trip to Japan or your return trip to Japan once travel opens back up. So let's go ahead and get this show started and get you on your way to making your very own Lost Without moments. I want to go ahead and say a big thank you again for our sponsor, the K-Pop Kimchi Podcast. Their super brief advertisement will go at the end of today's show. And if you could give a listen and check them out and let them know that I sent you, it'd be much appreciated. Now on to our follow-up portion of our podcast and today's topic, giving thanks for Kyoto. First, I just want to do what we normally do and see how is everything going for you. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're a returning Lost Without Japan listener, then thank you so much for returning once again. How are your steps going? For those of you new to the podcast, you can listen back to us, but basically this section is kind of just a check, kind of a guide of where things are going, because our goal ultimately is to get you to Japan or to return to Japan again with, new and fun, interesting places that you may not have thought of on your own or on that previous trip. Also give a chance to share kind of how my studies for Japanese are going, and kind of give a little bit more information about what we'll be covering today. So how is it going for you? Were you able to add $5, $10? What was it that you're able to add this month so far? Whatever it is, no matter how big or small, celebrate it. Was it going without, stopping at Starbucks or, whatever spot that it was to add that to it? If you did, congratulations. If you're still working on setting it up, go ahead and set that reminder in your phone. I know that you are going to be able to do this, and that together we're going to find you stepping off the plane in Narita or Haneda, and you will be in Japan one day. So how is it going with your studies? If you're doing the Japan studies like myself, I know that during these busy times, especially over this Thanksgiving break, most of my focus, and I think it should be this way, is, spending that time with your family and friends. But trying to keep those studies going so that you don't end up with a larger gap of time where you're trying to make up for that time. So, I'm trying to fit it in with this time, but I'm really looking forward to Monday when this podcast comes out and kind of return to more of a normal study pattern for us. Today, I'm actually trying to record this episode before my family celebrates our version of Thanksgiving, where we end up having Japanese curry with breaded pork chops and rice. And, I know that sounds like, hey, it's not your stereotypical, Thanksgiving that you have in the United States. But you know what? I realized between all the meals that we celebrate visiting family and friends, really don't need to add another huge meal to the fold and have like all of this that's sitting in my refrigerator. Because I don't know about you, but my kids really don't eat leftovers. So it just made more sense for us to just do a meal that we all enjoy. And then we follow that up while we're eating to watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is one of my favorite movies. And I kind of have like a movie for a bunch of holidays that we end up watching together as kind of a family tradition. And then we kind of look to put up our tree and, kind of just enjoy some time together today. So let's get our podcast going, and I'll get on to enjoying my time with the family here as well. And I truly feel lucky and wanted to let you know that sharing this journey with you means a whole bunch to me. I wanted to set aside some time for you today before going with my family. And I really do want to support you in your dreams and goals. And I know that you're thinking of me as well. So for all of you that are moving forward with this and listening today, thank you. And for those of you that are trying to get your goals and dreams of getting to Japan, don't just rely upon me, but I am always available by email or by messaging through our Instagram page as well. But tell your friends and family that you can count on the most that you want to be held accountable with this, and have them check up with you and get as many people as you can supporting you on this. Because like I said, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this together. And if you want to reach out, feel free to let me know how everything's going for you, and also some input on today's show, because I have a couple questions in that regard. But you can always reach out at lostwithoutjapan@gmail.com, Lost Without Japan on YouTube, or at Instagram at Lost Without Japan. And I'm hoping to be able to meet up again over winter break with and interview some others for some new formats for our show going forward for like January, February. And so one of those interviews is going to be, I hope, with my son as I work around his work schedule. And then also I'd like to introduce you to the K-Pop Kimchi podcast crew as well. And just, although it's not Japan, it fits under that Lost Without moment, because they have a pretty interesting story about what got them into K-pop and starting a podcast and a YouTube page. And they just have so much going on. So sharing something that someone's passionate about is always fun, because, you never know what you're going to find as a next hobby or interest yourself. So let's get started with our step 5, giving thanks for Kyoto, and 5A, more supplies for the trip. First, some items to add to your trip to make sure it goes off. I want to let you know that I actually created a Amazon page, or like a list, that has the things that I've been talking about from the show, and just have it in one place, because I thought, I want to make sure that I don't repeat things if at all possible, and sorry if I have already. But also, I just think it's just a nice thing to reference as you're going along, because truly, buying these little things throughout your time, even if you're not planning on going for 2 or 3 years, a lot of what I'm recommending, it's not like it's going to go bad. So I have a couple things to recommend for that today, and I will include the link for these items in the show notes for today. If you notice that there's a link that's not working or that something isn't there anymore, please let me know, and I'll try to keep it updated with feedback from you. Greatly appreciate it. For today, 2 things that I had kind of go together. One of them is a rain covering for your shoes. And it's not something that I would have thought of, but honestly, who wants to go a whole day with wet shoes? And although their rainy season is during the summer, it truly is something that can go at any time. For just, it can rain all year long. Can also snow, but it can rain numerous times throughout the year. And I found that once I started bringing a shoe covering that was meant for the rain and to keep my shoes dry, it has become a part of my constant, always in my backpack item. Doesn't take up much space, and it's just, when you don't need it, you forget about it. When you do need it, you are so thankful that you have it. And I bring this with me no matter where I go now. Tied together with that are some rain ponchos. And you could get a reusable one if you would like, or you can get ours that you can look to try to recycle, because really, honestly, there's so many opportunities in Japan to kind of make sure things are put in their correct place and taken care of in a very good manner. You could also get your throwaway ones as well. I have links for that because again, you want to be dry. And I love going through Japan and buying umbrellas. I love the clear ones. I'm a fan of Lost in Translation. Scarlett Johansson walking around with that clear umbrella makes me, every single time I go back, buy the same or similar one and just enjoy it. My plan is to bring it back with me, though, this time. I keep on having them walked off with. And I know I've told you that Japan is a thing where, like, I've had my friends have cameras, I've had cash returned to people. You can leave your bags and things aren't going to walk away. But let me tell you, it doesn't hold true for umbrellas. People just grab the one that's there. So, I'm going to make sure to buy one that's just going to be sealed, put in my luggage, and just be for myself for when I get back home. And if someone walks off with it again, like it always seems to happen right before I leave, no harm, no foul. So one other thing that I have for you is the a reusable handkerchief. And I know it can sound like old fashioned. That's going to tie in with one of the ones I'm talking with next. But let me tell you, handkerchief is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Number one, it's nice to have to offer if you're with somebody for the day that sneezes and doesn't have anything to blow their nose. I, like old fashioned, I guess, in that regard, love the opportunity then to hand someone a clean handkerchief that they can have, especially if you're trying to make friends or just make a positive interaction or memory for someone else. But I find that I use them a lot. I have allergies. I have allergies pretty much 364 of the 365 days of our year. So it's just always something with me. And it's nice to be able to have that with you. And I find it, again, I can use it more for blowing my nose, but it is just something nice to have. I want to also let you know that there's a pretty large sale going on right now with the Osprey Farpoint 70 men's travel backpack, and I'm pretty sure that goes for all of their backpacks. I don't know how much beyond today's release that this is going to be true or not, but they do go on sale periodically throughout the year. But it's around like $125 right now instead of $200. And although the $125 is still a lot of money, $75 off is pretty good. So if it's something you find yourself able to do, I can't recommend it enough. And even stopping over at REI to get fitted, as I've talked about before doing the purchase isn't a bad idea as well. But truly, I don't leave home without mine. So thank you for that. Now on to Kyoto, and I want to let you know, I titled today's show Giving Thanks for Kyoto, but actually it was supposed to be great food in Kyoto. I have and continue to have maps that I save in my Google Maps that are for different areas that I've been to, like in Kyoto, Osaka, Hiroshima, and so on. And it's just filled with places that we found and that I want to go back to. And I was so excited to share with you one of my most memorable favorite places to eat, aside from our good time friend in Hiroshima. There was an Italian restaurant that my friends and I found back in 2019 before COVID and things ended our travels that we went to, and it was the only thing that was open, only thing in our area. And it turns out the hotel we stayed at is closed permanently as well. But this restaurant, unfortunately, is also. I mean, the lack of tourism is hitting them so hard. And the restaurants, a lot of them that you can go into are run by one person. And they do everything. I mean, they do the dishes, they do the food, they welcome, they, get people seated. It's just one person running it. And that was one of the places I was looking forward to most to share with my son on this upcoming trip. And seeing that it was gone, you realize, how much this is truly like impacting the world, not just here, but over there. So I want to just give thanks to the fact that I was able to go there. And I can truly tell you one of my favorite things to do, no matter where I am, is to just walk and not be on your Google map or your Apple map or whatever it is that's here, and just kind of walk and explore. And I can tell you that some of my favorite restaurants that I found have been places that haven't shown up on a Google map or, a map that you pull up on your phone. And it's just, truly, when I've traveled throughout Japan, I've had some of my best Indian food, Italian food, and just so on, not even attached to Japan itself as far as food that you'd normally figure out to be Japanese. And it's been amazing. And this is something I've heard from numerous people, as is the case that when the Japanese do something with food, I tend to see that they really, really, really do it as well as what you're going to find, if you visited Italy itself, or that they do it even better at times. So don't just limit yourself to eating Japanese food while you're there. I think you'd end up missing out. Now, if you're only there for a few days, make the most of your time and do what you want to do. But if you're going to be there for a few weeks, it really is going to be something that I think you're going to really enjoy, especially these small restaurants and locations that are just run by the one person. So it's truly great. But like I said, I had meant to say good food, like great food, and I was going to go through my places I've been to as well. And I'll include some of these that I am going to still include in the notes as well, with links for you. But one thing I wanted to kind of share with you is that there's a cafe that's called Cafe La Siesta, 8-bit edition. And as you can tell, it is a cafe that also deals with like older video games and things. My geekiness is not limited to just Japan, as I'm sure you can begin to figure out already. But also the Kyoto Beer Lab. It is one of those places I'm looking to share with my son. Being able to sit on a river in Kyoto and just take that all in while sharing like an adult beverage is going to be a wonderful thing. With or without that adult beverage, that location is amazing. So if you're not one that does that, I still recommend going there and out the back and along the river and just taking that view in. It is wonderful. One of the other things that I'd like to share with you is Ipudo, and it's actually in a Aeon Mall. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like you're in Kyoto and you're at a mall. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite things to do, and it doesn't have to be in Kyoto, but can it be Osaka, Hiroshima, Kyoto, whatever, is that you stop and make some of your trip one of these Aeon malls. I love them. I love the food courts. I love the fact that you're actually seeing families there doing normal family things, and it's not a touristy thing. It's like the longer that I'm gone, I kind of miss the interactions with my kids, or like as well. So it's kind of one of those happy places that I found for myself to make it seem, like you have that connection, even if you are still apart. And like I said, on this upcoming trip, it's going to be nice to bring my son with me so he can have that. But you do miss some of that normalcy, at least I do. And being able to do that and kind of walk around, I found some of my most favorite things to give to someone. My dad, I brought him golf balls once, and now he wants them every time. That came from walking around. I'm also a fan of K-pop and Twice, and I found some of the albums from them and some of the best deals, as sales and things like that ever. I found clothes that I've given my son as a gift at a mall. Really, even if it's just for a part of a day, set aside some time, especially if you get a day where it is raining and you're using those items I recommended earlier. go to the mall. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. Also, as you're going through, would you all be interested in me sharing a Google Map location kind of spots and things like that per city for places to visit or places that I would recommend to eat? If you would, reach out by email or just message through Instagram and let me know that you would, or you just, it's okay to share them as we are right now. Either one, I'll be happy to do. So one thing I can also say is that the number of places that I had to share with you was longer again before I was going out. And I'm going to have to wait till I go back now to Kyoto with my son to add to the list of places that I've been to, and will do so for sure after my return. But so what I'd like to do instead is just kind of share some of my favorite places that I have traveled to myself and give you some of my recommendations attached to that as well for Kyoto. So fans of Lost in Translation, or just fans of a beautiful location with ice cream, let me tell you, the Aeon Shrine is wonderful. It's the one in the movie where Scarlett Johansson's walking across the circular stones across the water. And next to that, there is a location where you can get some ice cream and tea and things like that as well. And a great spot for a friend or someone that's with you to take a picture, or just to ask someone to take a photo or a short video of you walking across it, even if they laugh when you ask. So I loved it. I loved it. One other is the Kimezu Dera. It is one of those World Heritage sites, and if you're going to Kyoto, it's truly on the list of everything. But I just want to point out that right now, after the Olympics, and I'm hoping for next summer, it's actually all completely open. I've been to Kyoto 3 previous times. This will be my 4th, and a portion of it has been closed every single time I have gone. This will be my first time to be able to see it all open. And I can't recommend it enough, especially in November when the leaves are changing. That is still one of my most favorite moments, just period. And one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Still just as beautiful in summer, but the amount of colors that I saw was just amazing. One other spot that we're looking to make into a trip is the Fushimi Inari Tashi. And it is on Instagram, you see those long curving torii gates, the orange gates themselves that look like they go on forever. That is this location, and it is open 24 hours. And what we're looking to try to do is to visit the Shinto Shrine and get there before the sun comes up. And it is a bit of a walk, let me tell you. One of my favorite things that happened when I visited there is that there were 2 gentlemen, older gentlemen, that sat down next to me when I was kind of catching my breath and taking a drink from one of the various stalls that are open. And they sat next to me. One of the gentlemen had done business in New York before and was excited to practice his English. And I thought they were resting, and no, turns out they do the trip up and down. And it is, again, my friends, like definitely a long walk, like an hour, something like that, if I remember correctly. But they were just sitting down with me so that I was not lonely, or just making sure I was okay. I mean, just it's just, I love it. I loved it so much. And it was, again, nice to just kind of make contact and make, again, another possible friend of time that's there. But just goes to show how much they're thinking of really wanting for you to enjoy your trip. So don't worry, again, about not knowing Japanese or not knowing or making mistakes. You're given so much leeway when it comes to that. But our plan is to get there and use the headband lights ourselves to kind of walk up and get towards the top, like one of the top sections where you can see Kyoto. And I'd been there previously by myself and thought that I hadn't made it to the top because it was getting dark and I did not have that headlamp with me. And I made all my friends when we came back in 2019 say, hey, we've got to go here. And again, like I said, long walk to get back because I wanted to be able to see the top. Turns out I had seen the top. So everybody on this hot, sweaty day just looked at me like, Mike, really? But we're going to do it again because I'm a glutton for punishment, but also because I really feel like this view is going to be just amazing to watch the sun come up with, and then kind of head down from there to go visit the Golden Temple. I really recommend getting there before it opens, because that does have a set time, and getting you close to the front, it's just a nice way to start your day. You can get in usually right away to get your picture of yourself or the temple before it gets too crowded, and it gets crowded quick, let me tell you. If things, are back to our normal time and stuff, but really hit that first. So those are some of my, like I said, my return trips, favorite things and so on. But when you're doing the last, one thing to keep an look for is I would recommend you and your friends talking loudly, or just talking to yourself, playing some music from a Bluetooth speaker if others are not around, just to make noise as you're going through, because at times there are like warnings of animal, be it depending on where you're at, boars, monkeys, those things like that. So just something to be aware of. I would really recommend doing this with like another friend or something like that, and making sure to take advantage of those battery backpacks for your phone and stuff. But I'm not going to let it stop us, and I really feel it's going to be worth that, the view at the top, and just watching all of that come out and being able to see all of Kyoto wake up together with you is just going to be a wonderful thing. Now, one other thing I'd like to do at some point in time is kind of cover some anime, and be it like Hayao Miyazaki, and have it be one that like we watch together. Like I mentioned for the show, like, hey, we're going to talk about this next one, or other movies that I can recommend, Tampopo, or, Lost in Translation and those things. If that's something that you'd be interested in kind of hearing me talk about after you listening to it, let me know. Just, again, throwing out some other ideas of things to add to our show. So here we go. I want to thank you again just for your time today, and really just tell you that doing this has become just something that I look forward to, and was something that I've always wanted to do, but I'm just so happy to get this started with you, and can't wait to reach that 10 episode mark together. And it's coming quicker than I even realize. So here's some housekeeping. If you could, please give a follow, like, comment on your favorite streaming service. For updates on the show, feel free to give a follow on Instagram at Lost Without Japan, or visit lostwithoutjapan.libsyn.com. And if you want to directly email me in that old-fashioned way, feel free to email me at lostwithoutjapan@gmail.com. We've already had some listeners do that, and it truly means a lot. Look forward to the next episode to arrive in 2 weeks, and have our adventure continue together as we continue our discussion about getting you to Japan and start making your own Lost Without moments in episode 8. On behalf of Lost Without Japan and our entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we're looking forward to seeing you on board again in the very near future. To everyone out there, O Genki Day. Stay well, my friends.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the K-Pop Kimchi Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Turneau, with my co-host, Fogrella, Brian Limper.
And when you need a break from planning your upcoming trip, or maybe even your first trip to Japan, be sure to come check us out on the K-Pop Kimchi Podcast, your number one source for all things K-pop related.